Good morning, friends. This is Frank again, back with another video on your job search and techniques. Today we're going to focus more on resume and writing. I want to introduce you to little Hello Kitty, I call her. This is Buffy. And the reason why I'm having Buffy is because even as an animal, she has a story to tell, and we'll talk a little bit about that and what your resume should be reflecting. You know, Buffy is 15 years old. I got her at a shelter, and they found her on the street when she was about 3 months old. And so my youngest daughter was 15 at the time. We walked into the shelter, and little Buffy, even though that wasn't her name at the time, my daughter fell in love with her, and Buffy fell in love with her, and it became a match. So you see, even animals have a little story to tell. So what does that mean to us? So your resume has to reflect a story of your life. Hi, see, there's Buffy. Come on, Buffy, say hi to everybody. Hi. And so when your resume doesn't reflect your life or who you are, don't expect an employer to see that as well. So what I would suggest that you do is take another look at your resume. What are you saying? What story are you telling about your life? And your resume, you probably are going to have to tweak it a little to reflect on the job posting that you're applying for. So even though it's going to be in the same field perhaps, but maybe the employer is going to want to see a little bit more about who you are in fitting into their role. Let me just put Buffy down a minute. I think Buffy's getting a little antsy. So again, when you think about tweaking your resume, I myself, over the years, I was a call center manager, I was a business manager, I was a contract worker, a job developer. I had an array of different fields that was in. So don't you think I would have to tweak my resume according to the job I was going to apply for? If I was going to apply for a call center manager, well, that's what I want to focus on, my customer service skills, my management style, etc., etc. So, looking at your resume, what story are you truly telling an employer? I mentioned also to those of you that are perhaps in your 50s now and thinking about changing jobs, or maybe you got laid off your job and you haven't applied for a job in a number of years, it's going to be very crucial that your resume reflects all of your past experience, but yet how are you going to bring that forward to today, to that employer, and why would they want to interview you for the job? I have spoken to many people, and again, sometimes over the age of 50, and when they get to an interview, they focus so much on who they were. The employer thinks in their mind, what are they going to do for me? Because they can see the skill level, but they're a little nervous because they don't know how you're going to fit into their environment. So if I were you, I would start thinking about your resume as being all encompassed and coming to the point of saying, am I talking to Mr. and Mrs. Employer about what I am and what they're looking for? Okay. Now, if you are an experienced and skilled individual, the thing that I would say in your resume, right from the top, right after your contact information, the first thing I would go into is qualifications. What qualifies you? And I would bullet point that. Bullet point what qualifies you for their position and what skill level you have. So think about your hard skills and your soft skills and how do you want to lay that out so right up front they can see. I would do away with objective statements. An objective statement is, well, seeking a position in customer service where I can utilize my skill. Who wants to hear that? Okay. You're wasting an employer's time. They already know what job you're applying for, so get right to the qualifications, okay? Right after qualifications, I would, excuse me, I would get into your work experience. And I wouldn't go back more than 10 years in work experience. After that, below that, you want to go into your education. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cough here and it kind of like bothers me. Okay, so anyway, so go into your educational skills. Now, if you have a degree, I would also emphasize in parentheses what was your GPA. Okay, did you get a degree? Because they're going to want to know all that. And let me just say this too. If you went to college or a couple of colleges but you never graduated, don't put it in the resume. Okay, because it shows that you're an incomplete person. It shows that you don't finish what you started. So you're not going to add value to that resume if you're hopping around and going to this college and that college, because the question's going to come up. And in the interview, well, did you graduate? No. And then what about this college? No. And what about this college? No. So again, think about how you want to lay out your educational background. And I would even go on to say after that, just below that, you want to put like any volunteer work. For some of you gals, maybe you were a candy striper during high school, volunteering in hospital, doing volunteer work. For any person, whether a guy or a gal, any type of volunteer work, social programs you were involved with to help other people, put that on there because it shows you as being a more well-rounded individual. Okay, so if you've been following my series on job search and techniques, think about the word search and technique. You're searching, but you also have to have a technique down to what you're doing. You have to have a strategy. If you could be the best baseball player, but all of them have to have a certain strategy to even want to, for them to even audition for the Dodgers or the Mets or the Yankees, they have to have something behind them that somebody's going to want. So again, I always say, I harp on this over and over. Think about what the employer is expecting and what they want. Make sure your resume reflects that. And when you get to the interview, make sure you bring those skills to life and say, Mr. Employer, I've been reading on your job description, and this such and such skill that I have, let me explain to you how I know it will fit into your environment. So that's what they want to hear. Okay. Oh, the guy's current. He didn't take Word 1999 years ago. He understands Word and again, if you're going to spell out your computer skills in any skill, make sure that you bring it current. If those of you that perhaps are out of work right now, there's evening classes that you can even take, or even day classes. They're free. A lot of these adult education schools, they offer brush-ups on your computer skills. So take advantage of what's out there. You don't have to think that, oh my God, I can't afford to take all these courses. Well, you don't have to pay a dime. A lot of this is offered right through your local adult education schools. And then what you do is or if you're in the process of even doing that, add that to your resume. Under your education, saying, oh, currently this is what I'm doing. See, again, you're showing that you're up to date. You're not an old horse that's out to pasture. Okay, well, that's it for today, folks, and then we're going to continue on with this job search, and I hope everything's going great for you. Have a nice day.